Hi, it's Tony Marino, host of the super popular Newsmax Daily podcast, a rundown of the day's top headlines and top highlights of Newsmax shows and interviews you may have missed, plus some sports, stock markets, and even some yucks, all packed into about 20 minutes. Search for the Newsmax Daily with me, Tony Marino, on your favorite podcast platform, and check out our entire lineup of great podcasts, including Greg Kelly, Rob Carson, and Jerry Callahan at newsmax.com/listen.
Now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Has there been a date set? Is there a certain number of people you want to... People in Minnesota want to know when this surge will end. Has there been a date set? Is there a certain number of people you want to apprehend before you decide to ease the surge?
We continue to apprehend dozens, if not hundreds, of these criminal illegal aliens a day. We're going to continue conducting that mission. We're not going to put a date or a timeline to stop this mission. This mission's ongoing until there are no more of those criminal illegal aliens roaming the streets of Minneapolis.
Is there a number, though? You have to have a file.
There is a number, and it's called all of them.
Yeah, there you go. It's all of them. Yeah, absolutely. Hello, welcome. Hi, how are you? What a weekend. My gosh, what a weekend. A lot of snow, a gigantic snowstorm across the entire southern, middle and southern part of the country. Billions of tons of snow. I mean, honestly, look at this. Look what global warming is doing to our country. It's just making us freeze. So we got some here in the Northern Virginia area. Usually Northern Virginia doesn't handle snow too well, but I was actually kind of impressed. Got about 10, maybe 12 inches of snow here. My friend Paul Shanklin, who does all these wonderful song parodies, I'm wondering why I hadn't heard from him this morning. I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with Paul Shanklin? Oh my God, Paul Shanklin wrote for Rush Limbaugh. Jim Gossett, what is wrong with Jim Gossett? Oh my God, I feel so dirty. I said the other guy's name. But anyway, Jim Gossett, no word this morning. I'm like, what is going on? Maybe he's frozen. I have no idea. Maybe he looks like Jack Nicholson after the end of the Shining. I didn't know what was going on. Well, he wrote me and he says, hey, man, I got a great parody that you came, I sent him an idea over the weekend. And he goes, I would get it done, but we don't have any electricity. So there you go. There you go. It has been a wild weekend, hasn't it? I would like to say that I've just camped out at home and did nothing, but no, I was on social media. I was doing all sorts of show prep and everything. I got all sorts of viral this weekend. Not having an illness, but people just my videos just blowing up on social media because I did a video on Saturday about this guy in Minnesota, and how you shouldn't go to a rally or I should say get involved with the police action and bring a fully loaded handgun with 2 clips with you, because nobody does that for just protection. Nobody says, I'm going to go for a walk in a kind of a mediocre to bad neighborhood and I'm going to bring 2 magazines with me just to defend myself. There's a reason why somebody would bring a gun like that, and then of course 2 magazines to to interrupt a police action, and then of course get in the face of officers, and then ultimately got himself shot. And the left, of course, is all of a sudden, I don't know if you knew this, but George Floyd 2025 has white privilege. So there is that. We're going to get into a lot of this on this Pretty shooting. The man's name was Pretty. And also we're discovering all sorts of Alex Pretty was his name. He was a father, by the way. He had kids, but he chose to be infected by the mania of the left and do stupid crap like going to these protests, being involved in this massive group of people involving thousands of people, including Minnesota politicians who have been effectively surveilling everyone who comes into the city, doing these quick action violent mobs against ICE agents and all of this. It's all coming out now, and he was a part of it, and then ultimately he got shot to death because he had a loaded handgun with 2 magazines on him when he decided to confront armed ICE agents and get in the way of them trying to arrest a criminal illegal alien. And so now Renee Good is no longer part of the equation. and she's faded into history. Then over the weekend, there was a 5-year-old was arrested. A 5-year-old was arrested. Oh, ICE is arresting 5-year-olds from now on. Turns out they actually were going after the kid's dad. The kid's dad is a complete scumbag, and the dad, of course, we mentioned on Friday, basically, here, the kid, it's yours. Like threw the kid at him to distract him, knocked him over like bowling pins, and then ran away. And the left is going ape guano. But I got this weekend. I had the first time I've ever been called a Nazi in mass. I mean, a lot of people calling me Nazi over the weekend. It was kind of interesting. I had this video that I posted on Twitter, and I mean, it just exploded with, you're a Nazi, you're a white supremacist. What else they call me? Boomer. I'm a boomer. I'm a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer. Boomers are like Jefferson Airplane and Woodstock. I'm like Soundgarden and Lollapalooza. So it's a totally different thing. It's a totally different thing. But I got called a boomer, and I got called all sorts of crap. It was actually I don't let things like this bother me too much. I actually kind of found it laughable because there's no evidence in my entire life or social media presence that I'm a racist or a Nazi or a white supremacist. So I said basically there's more evidence that I'm an NBA player than I am a Nazi. So but they're lashing out. I told you. What did I tell you about the left? They're dying like movie vampires. They are dying like movie vampires. They are dragging into hell. They're trying to drag us. They're gnashing their teeth. They're grabbing at us and stuff. They're trying to drag us into hell. And it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all. It is laughable and dangerous at the same time. And of course, the ultimately we had another insane person shot this weekend. Oddly enough, in 2024, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison was among 17 AGs who contended there's no right to carry a gun at political rallies and protests. January 26, 2024, filing in support of upholding California's gun controls for sensitive places in the Ninth Circuit. You should not be allowed to carry a firearm in an event involving political speech like political rallies and protests. They are gun-free, sensitive places. So again, another narrative by the left shot down so very easily. It's just not even funny. It's not even funny at all. So there is that. Then, of course, there's this. President Donald Trump sending border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota amid ongoing immigration and customs enforcement operations, which are being met by far-left demonstrations. Trump said Monday morning, by the way, I'm sending Tom Homan to Minnesota tonight. He has not been involved in that area, but knows and likes many of the people there. Tom is tough but fair, will report to me. Separately, a major investigation is going on with respect to the massive $20 billion plus welfare fraud that has taken place in Minnesota and at least partially responsible for the violent organized protests going on in the streets. Additionally, the DOJ and Congress are looking at Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who left Somalia with nothing and now is worth more than $44 million. And then this truth post from the president this morning. Governor Tim Walz called me with the request to work together with respect to Minnesota. What? Must have been that strongly worded letter from Pam Bondi. That must have been it, because Pam Bondi said she wrote a pretty terse letter, and she actually looked like a complete moron. She looked really, really stupid and weak, and I really lost a lot of respect for her this weekend. Here she is.
Rape, homicide, manslaughter. That's who they're trying to protect in Minnesota. I do not understand these people. We sent Governor Walz a very strong letter today.
Yeah, a really strong letter. And she used all caps in part of it and stuff.
We had been working on this letter. We got it out saying that he better support President Trump.
Yeah, he better. We're going to send another letter tomorrow.
He better support the men and women.
We're going to send an email and then maybe a fruit basket or something. It's going to get ugly.
Law enforcement, because if he doesn't, we are. And that's what we're doing right now.
Were there any consequences in this letter?
Well, we'll see. This is fluid. Let's see how Governor Walz responds. Let's see what he does based on this, based on what's happening right now. But this administration is going to support the citizens. We're going to support our great men and women in law enforcement.
Okay, so I guess it was the letter. What did the letter say, I wonder? What did the letter say? If it was the letter that did it. If it was the letter that did it, I mean, there was some pretty crazy stuff in that letter. They've been like Donald Trump saying, I'm going to shove a missile up your rear end. I have no idea. I really have no idea what it would be. But anyway, I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him and that we are looking for any criminals they have in their possession. The government, very respectful, understood that. And I will be speaking to him. And then if you must have said something like, hey, man, we know what you're up to. We have evidence, and we're going to send your ass to jail for the rest of your life. Maybe that was it. Yeah. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota, and so am I. We've had such tremendous success in Minneapolis, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, virtually every other place that we have touched. And even in Minnesota, crime is way down, but both Governor Walz and I want to make it better. Must have done something. He had a little come to Jesus moment. I'm thinking old Tim Waltz had a little come to Jesus moment because he was being all sorts of belligerent this weekend. Here he is. This is what he said, I guess, Saturday after the strongly worded letter.
Is there anything we can do to meet the Trump administration, at least part of the way, to try to turn this temperature?
Well, first of all, it's not a serious attempt, and the Attorney General's in that. And I would thank the local folks and Commissioner Snell. Thank you to you and your team over there.
I wonder if there's something in there about you will go to jail for the rest of your life because we have some dirt on you. Maybe something like that. I don't know.
In that letter, they talked about, you need to hand people over who are in your jails. They're taking credit for people that we've had in jail for a long time.
Well, why do you let them out, you jerk?
Always hand them over, and the commissioner very clearly.
No,
so they're lying.
No, you are actually
lying. This has nothing to do with fraud. As the Attorney General said, they're not sending us forensic accountants, and these are things that have been we're dealing with now and have been
covering up
for quite some time. So look, it's not a serious attempt to get at this. The way to fix this is get these folks out of here. We've continued to work with them.
Something must have got serious over the weekend. I don't know what it is. I'm speculating, ruminating, and all of this, but something happened. Old Timmy had some sort of a come to Jesus moment, and maybe it's the moment we've been waiting for, because there has been the talk of the Insurrection Act. Maybe it was, hey, we're going to send in the troops, man. We're going to send them in. We're going to take you, whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying, all of a sudden this morning, old Timmy is in the get-along gang. He's in the get-along gang. So I'm kind of curious as to what happened. Anyway, we got a bunch of stuff to get to, a lot of audio with regard to this Alex Preddy. His parents told him not to engage with ICE and don't do anything stupid. But he went ahead and did something stupid. Even when you're 37, you can't get your kid to listen to you. It's amazing. Here's the number, 800-922-6680. This is the Rob Carson Show.
He's run Minnesota in the ground. Massive fraud Timmy never found. Billions lost. Oh, what a cost. Goodness gracious, Walz is in trouble. He's obstructing ICE every day. He wants illegals to get their way. Out of control. He has no soul. Goodness gracious, Walz is in trouble. Tim is thinking they might impeach him. Should be resigning. For Minnesota, he has done no good. It's sad, so sad. As governor, he's been bad. Many calls for Tim Walz to step down. Minnesota can't afford this clown. Throw him in jail, deny him bail. Goodness gracious, Walz is in trouble. His impeachment is an absolute must. Tim has lost the people's trust. He's gotta go, 'cause we all know, goodness gracious, Walz is in trouble.
What can make us safer?
What could make us safer?
In the hemisphere.
In the hemisphere.
What can force the Russians and Chinese to watch their rear? Greenland.
Greenland.
Oh yes, Greenland can.
Greenland can.
We'd like to buy it and make it so much better, like we said we would. A deal I'd like to make, I don't want to take Greenland with the military. Hope that isn't necessary. A conflict there would be quite scary. What could be strategic?
What could be strategic?
To the USA.
To the USA.
Come to the table, Denmark. We could make a deal today for Greenland.
Greenland.
You should sell us Greenland.
Sell us Greenland.
Sell us Greenland because a hefty price we are prepared to pay. After we own Greenland, the Panama Canal will also be in play.
Carson Show podcast is everywhere. Go to newsmax.com/listen for details.
This individual impeded the law enforcement officers and attacked them. State the facts as they unfolded on the street today. We were doing a targeted operation against an illegal criminal, and this individual came with a weapon and dozens of rounds of ammunition and attacked them.
Yeah, not your typical concealed carry guy. I know plenty of concealed carry guys. I've been one too, by the way. You don't usually take a couple mags with you.
And these agents
have them on your person.
Took action to defend their lives and to defend the lives of the people around them, and acted according to their training. And we will continue to let this process go forward and not allow people like Governor Walz and Mayor Frey to lie about what actually unfolded on that street. Now they have deemed this situation an unlawful assembly, and these leaders aren't even cleaning up the situation that they have as far as the violent riots that we see unfold.
Yeah, these aren't protests at all when you break out hotel windows to look for ICE agents. That's a violent mob, and more is coming out today. This story is breaking all over the place, for real, including this Alex Preddy guy being tied to high-level organizational efforts within the Minnesota state legislature. Reports indicate that Preddy, a 37-year-old ICU nurse shot by federal agents, was an active member of an anti-ICE signal chat group used to coordinate rapid responses, track federal agents across Minneapolis. The man behind the chat is State Representative Alex Falconer, freshman DFL legislator from District Whatever, has publicly admitted to leading these rapid response networks, using the Signal app to recruit residents into a resistance network. This is insurrection, by the way. Use families to impede ICE members of Falconer's signal groups, instructed to send alerts when they see suspicious vehicles or known federal agents. On the morning he was killed, news of the ICE operation near Nicollet and 26 was reportedly transmitted across these very rapid response networks, drawing protesters, including Preddy, to the scene. Federal critics argue these networks are being used to intentionally obstruct and harass officers carrying out lawful duties. Falconer currently serves as a Commerce and Education Policy Committee. Whether state-level officials are using their positions to incite dangerous conversations between citizens and law enforcement. Then there's this just coming in from State Representative Brad Tabke. To organized ICE interference, explosive new evidence shared by online here. Minnesota State Representative Brad Tabke isn't just a supporter of ICE Watch. He appears to be primary architect, coordinator, and dispatcher. Representative Tad Key is allegedly personally managing ICE Watch Shift. He is thanked by name for organizing the effort, which includes recruiting volunteers for patrol, dispatch, even food delivery at the New Creation Church in Shakopee, Minnesota. Tabkey's organization provides volunteers with specific signal group links for daily Scott County RR chat, Google Maps, routes for hotspots, and instructions on how to use the Signal app to monitor federal agents in real time. The program includes in-person training sessions at Shakopee Library there. You know, I like to go down there and check out the books there every once in a while, ensuring that volunteers are fully prepared to peacefully observe, or as critics allege, impede federal law enforcement officials during lawful operations. Physical evidence corroborates Tabkey's public behavior, where he has been caught posting real-time updates on ICE movements at apartment buildings and restaurants through Shakopee multiple times a day by coordinating shifts, dispatching individuals to locations, developing real-time operational guidance. Tabkey is moving beyond legislative dissent and into potential federal obstruction of justice. The massive ICE Watch network appears designed to shield the very cooperation and massive fraud that President Trump and Secretary Noem have warned is being uncovered in Minneapolis. Now we know why it got so organized. No, it isn't necessarily Alex Soros and George Soros and all that. It's actual Minnesota politicians, allegedly. Allegedly. And then, of course, Alex Preddy was one of the useful idiots. That's what Marx used to call him. It wasn't. It was Stalin. It wasn't Stalin. It was one of those Russians called them useful idiots. Do anything stupid. Basically, Alex Preddy was told by his parents not to engage with federal offers while attending the protests in Minnesota. Preddy had been carrying a gun with 2 loaded magazines at the time of the shooting on Saturday. His dad said, we had this discussion with him 2 weeks ago, that go ahead and protest but not engage, do not do anything stupid. And he said he knows that, he knew that. Family members of Preddy said he owned a handgun and that he had a permit to carry it in the state, but had never been known to carry the firearm. Video showed Preddy engaging with officers who then wrestled him to the ground. In one angle of the shooting, officers were heard yelling, he's got a gun, and the shots rang out. This after a weekend where one agent actually had his finger bitten off by one of these little bleep holes. Yeah. Here's Greg Bovino of ICE with a simple lesson.
When someone chooses to listen to a politician, a so-called journalist, a community leader that spouted that type of vilification towards law enforcement or anything else, when you choose to listen to that, that is a choice, and there are consequences and actions there also.
It's not a good choice.
I think we saw that yesterday.
Yep.
And those actions and choices can obviously have tragic consequences, bad outcomes that law enforcement never wants to see. Law enforcement never wants to see a bad consequence due to a poor choice.
Yeah, here is Kash Patel with some obvious advice.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence. We will, of course, always protect your First Amendment speech. And if you peacefully protest, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yep. But you have seen a trend here, not just in Minnesota, but across the country, in these protests turning into violent scenarios and people attacking law enforcement. That's when you go over the line, and that's when law enforcement steps in.
Yep. So there you go. On the way, Chip Roy is going to be on the show next. The Chip Roy, Congressman Chip Roy, is going to be on the show next. We're going to talk about not only his grilling of Jack Smith last week, but also what do you think happened that changed Tim Volz's mind today? Going to talk about Iran. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff. It's on the other side of the break. Do not go anywhere. This is going to be really, really good. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Hello, my name is Brian Delatry, and I started taking Relief Factor just about a year ago. I was having chronic knee pain over time. It just got worse and worse. Just walking downstairs was painful. Well, since I've taken Relief Factor, the results have been just amazing. I actually walk 4 miles a day, 5 to 6 days a week. No pain at all going downstairs. Very active playing golf, and it's been really just unbelievable in the change I've had in the pain in my knee. Hope that someone who's experienced the same type of pain gives Relief Factor a try. And I guarantee if you get the results that I have, you'll be very happy. I'm going to continue using the product because I am now pain-free.
Don't wait. If you're dealing with daily pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Go to relieffactor.com. How will it feel to be out of pain?
Somalis are all on welfare, and the Dems just seem to not care. Ilhan Omar, she needs to go. GTFO, GTFO, GTFO. Many are anti-Semitic. Their statements have been pathetic. They're a threat to all you know. GTFO, GTFO, GTFO. They are always expressing hate of America. Why are they here? Must abort before it's too late. Talk about holiday cheer. Our language, they will not learn it. Own money, refuse to earn it. They are gaming the system so. GTFO, GTFO, GTFO. Step down, step down. Tim Walz should step down for allowing so much fraud. If Tim Walz would resign, Minnesota would applaud. More than $1 billion lost to fraud, a tremendous cost. Step down, step down. Tim Walz should step down. He cannot carry on. Step down, step down. Do it today. Tim Walz, you need to go.
Experienced prosecutors know that specific case outcomes are beyond our control. what I found interesting, one of my colleagues asked him, hey, what's your party affiliation, registration? Well, I don't know if I'm registered in any certain party. I may not even be registered, which made me wonder, well, do you vote? Like, of course you know these things. And this was all about targeting Trump, using the power that he had. And by the way, we've got to review all of the powers that these special counsel, special prosecutors have, because he had no bounds. No limits. He's going after literally 400 plus conservative organizations that were targeted because they were friendly with President Trump, or in my case, as a congressman. Separation of powers aside, I'm a citizen, and I was targeted because I was having text messages and phone conversations with Scott Perry, who, by the way, had his phone confiscated in front of his family on vacation.
Yeah, it was a busy week last week for Representative Chip Roy from Texas. He joins us on the Newsmax Hotline for the very first time today. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Great to be on. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm well, man. And so, are you a typical Texan? You're not so good driving in this snow. Are you in D.C.?
Well, I'm in Texas. We've got ice. Look, I've got four-wheel drive, and I've got a winch on my Jeep, so I'm pretty good to go. Ice. Ice is a whole other thing.
Yeah, ice. There's no messing with ice. You can't drive in that stuff, I'll tell you. But welcome to the show. I had the opportunity to meet you, my first skiff in Washington D.C. And since moving here 6 months ago, it was a real pleasure to meet you, and hope get to know you a little bit here. But man, there's a whole bunch of stuff on the table. I want to start off. I want to get to the Jack Smith stuff, but it looks like Tim Walz has had a little come to Jesus today. Over the weekend, talking tough, all of this, and this morning he's like, we're going to have Tom Homan come. What do you suppose happened? Do you have any idea?
Well, first of all, I want to start with the president and his leadership and demonstrating that he's not backing down. But importantly, naming Tom Homan as the guy that he wants as his general on the ground in Minneapolis. Tom Homan is a good man, former ICE director. Yeah. He was literally given a medal by President Obama. Yeah. Of course, now they hate him. They call him a Nazi and whatnot. Yeah. But my point remains, Tom knows how to do this and do it the right way. And the president recognizes this is a moment for leadership. We've got to stand behind ICE. We're not going to retreat. We're going to enforce the law. We're not going to allow them to take away funding from ICE. Yeah. But we're going to put the right leadership on the ground to do this all the right way. We want there to be cool heads. Yes. We want to make sure that we create a climate where we're not, creating a situation where this can occur. But Walz is an interesting variable, to your point, because Walz has been the one fomenting this and creating this climate. Yep. And so I think this is an indication that he's getting the joke. And look, I saw a poll earlier today that showed Border Patrol and ICE still polling pretty well. Yep. The average American was sick of what was happening to Laken Riley, sick of what was happening to Jocelyn Nungare, to Rachel Marin, to Officer Mendoza in Arizona. I go down a laundry list. The people in Minnesota that have been raped and murdered and killed, the dangerous individuals on our streets, because these radical leftists in an organized effort want to politicize this for political power. And that's what it's about. It's about power. And they see Minneapolis as ground zero for being able to carry out their Antifa radical efforts. And so credit to President Trump, credit to Tom Homan. And look, hopefully Walz is talking to the president. I'll believe it when I see it. I know he's talking to him, but hopefully he'll listen to the president and listen to Tom. But I'll believe that when I see it.
Well, you look at the actions of the government and the governor and the AG and the mayor and all of this. There has been billions and billions of dollars worth of fraud. It took a guy named Nick Shirley just to go up and knock on a door to figure out all this fraud. And then Dr. Oz was up there. He was chased. So the leaders of that state knew what the hell was going on. And I think that maybe there's a little putting the heavy on him about legal charges against him and his administration, among other things. I was, a lot of people are cheering the possibility of bringing on the Insurrection Act. If it has to happen, it has to happen, but I would much rather avoid it, and it sounds like we might be moving in the direction of avoiding it.
Well, I just want to mention something I think that's related to what you're saying. Look, remember this has all been exploding after we brought to light the absurd fraud and all of the absurdities going on there. So I think the Walz and company up there, they know the gig is up. Yep. And they want every distraction they can get to get away from people focusing on the now well-exposed billions of dollars of fraud to the Somali community and generally, and the extent to which that's all connected to this entire radical network.
Yep.
And look, the people of Minnesota, the good people of Minnesota, they don't want this. The people of America don't want this. They want the country back. They want sovereignty back. They don't want to see civil unrest. That's why the president's sending Tom Homan. That's why the president's talking to walls.
Yeah.
But they don't want to walk away from our job to secure this country, secure our sovereignty. And frankly, the president should use the Insurrection Act if he has to.
Yep.
He should know that we will have his back to fund ICE, no matter what the Democrats try to do to defund ICE this week.
Yes.
We did our job last week. And by the way, this is really important. Some of us conservatives who do not like voting for appropriations bills, I mean, I voted against a lot of them because they always have garbage in there that I hate, okay? That the average American hates. That funds programs, funds things like that National Endowment for Democracy, right, and the State and Foreign Operations Bill and other things. But I voted for the Homeland Security Bill, the appropriations bill. I voted against the other ones, but I voted for that one because you have to pick when you're going to pick shirts and skins. You got to pick sides. Democrats want to defund ICE and Border Patrol. I stand with ICE and Border Patrol. So I voted for the funding bill. We got to fund it. We got to stand with them. And then we can, get busy continuing to make changes, working with the great people in Trump's administration.
The Democrat Party, let's face it, we're going into the midterms here. They're going to do anything they can to kill the economy like they did during 2020 before, the election. They did the same damn thing. And so they're trying to kill the economy. They got to shut down before in December. They may have lessened the massive growth of the GDP from, it'll probably be about 5%. It was 4.4 over the summer. And then they want to do it now. They're looking anything to shut down the government, blame that they're still doing this crap, Chip Roy, but I think it's falling flat. And do you think that them trying to shut down the government, unless we defund ICE, how are we going to prevent that from happening? And what is the possibility of that happening this week?
Well, we are having conversations, and I was having them all weekend with the White House and with my colleagues in the U.S. House about what we can do to stop Democrats from doing that. Now, my personal belief is, step one is, under no circumstances should we allow them to split off Homeland Security and have a separate vote on that, because then they will leverage to kill that. If they want to shut down all this, then they're going to shut it all down. Right now they have a package over there that includes the Department of War, that includes transportation, that includes Labor H, which is Health and Human Services, and Labor and Education. If they want to shut all that down, and by the way, I'm fine with shutting down a good chunk of those things. If they want to shut down all that stuff, then that's on them. But if they're going to shut down war, if they're going to shut down DHS, then they got to own it. And we've got to stick that, on their responsibility. And we're having, significant conversations about what we can do as Republicans. There are two paths for Republicans if they don't want to do their job. One, we pass another reconciliation bill. Remember last summer? We passed $150 billion for defense and $150 billion for border security. We gave the president room to be able to deal with these idiots, and that was really important. We can do it again, and we can do it quickly if we chose to. Secondly, the senators have got to blow up the abusive fake filibuster 60-vote threshold. They can do that by forcing them to go speak on the floor, or they could frankly just nuke the filibuster for purposes of funding government. I'm not sure they need to do a full nuke, but they can just say, look, we're not going to have a 60-vote threshold when we're talking about funding government. If we have a majority to fund government, we're going to do it. Now, look, that means that can be used against us, but okay, so be it. Go win the argument. But bottom line is we need to find a way to make sure our men and women in uniform, both in the Pentagon and at Homeland Security, are being funded.
Now, Chip Roy, can you hold through the break? Is it possible? I know you're a very busy man.
Sure. For you, I'll do it.
Brother, I appreciate it. We got more with Chip Roy coming up. We're going to be covering January the 6th. We're going to be covering Jack Smith, among other things, maybe Iran as well. That's coming up. This is The Rob Carson Show.
Take a look at how Democrats who disapprove of congressional Democratic leaders, hello, we're talking about 57% in January of 2026, the second highest disapproval rate for Democratic leaders from their own party on record. It's only beat by what we saw earlier on in this Congress when it was 61%. There's basically been no improvement. Democrats hate their own congressional leaders. These numbers are awful, awful, awful.
That, and also I'm seeing Emerson reporting Hispanics have shifted 23 points toward Republicans for the 2026 midterms versus 4 years ago. I'm thinking some of that has to do with Maduro, of other things, that if Cuba falls, it's going to get really big and ugly for the Democrats. Chip Roy, a representative from Texas, joins us on the Newsmax Hotline. The thing that I love is that the Democrat Party didn't learn anything from 2024. And they're doubling down on stupid, and I think it's beginning to catch up with them. What do you think?
Well, I think that's right, and I think that the American people are seeing the benefits of what the president and his leadership is doing. Now, look, the media is trying to spin up every single possible way that they can to make this, blow up and to try to undermine the president and to undermine his agenda, right? It's all political. Yeah. But the American people actually can see, wait, I want our streets to be safe. But wait a minute, Minneapolis is kind of a mess. I mean, they're engaged in fraud. They've, opened up their floodgates to have all of these Somalis in their communities. They're thwarting law enforcement. They're actually encouraging it. And nobody thinks that's a good idea. Yeah. So I think the president's right here. He's saying, look, I don't want anybody to get shot. I'm the President of the United States. I want there to be peace. I want all of this to be done the right way. But he's also being resolved that Minneapolis is at the core of the problem because of their leadership. So he's trying to put pressure on their leadership to do it right, and the American people are seeing it. And I think to your question, to your point, that is blowing up on Democrats because they're the ones that seem out of touch with the average American.
Well, I think that, and I proposed this last year, I said we're going to have to get the good news across in a vacuum of good news from the media because they're never going to say anything is good. I mean, they said that the drug boat captains were fishermen, for God's sake. And it's one thing after another, Chip Roy. It's one thing after another. It's release Maduro. Donald Trump did it. Somebody, Pete Hegseth is a war criminal. Donald Trump is a king. And then it goes on and on and on. And on. They're always looking for something, and I think people are just getting damn tired of it, to be quite honest. We went through a lot of crap. You're from Texas. You know what Texans went through with that open border. We're not forgetting that. We're not, and Democrats are siding on the wrong side of history, and I think it's going to catch up with them. I think it is catching up with them, and I don't think they're going to win both houses of Congress because this is different. You normally lose seats in the midterms, but the Democrats haven't learned a damn thing on the wrong side of history, and Donald Trump's policies are making the economy and everything go at light speed. What do you think?
Well, I think you're exactly right, and of course they're on the wrong side of history. I do think we can do well this fall. I do think that and frankly, you can watch it, right? You can see the Republicans who were afraid this weekend. They ran up. This is terrible. We have to and they're responding to the left but they're not recognizing the truth, which is while we want to achieve the common sense on the ground and make sure everything is being done the right way, that this effort to undermine our security, that's the thing that the American people are focused on. So, look, I think politically, we've just got to do our job. Okay, I think at the end of the day, when you try to move yourself around in the flapping in the winds of polls and what the media is saying, you lose. Yeah. When you lead, you win.
Yes, sir.
Because the American people want leaders. They want to see results. They want to see prices go down. They want to see a strong economy. They want to see their border secure. They want to see criminals off the streets. They want to know that their families are safe.
Yep.
They want to know that they're going to be able to keep more of their own hard-earned money. They want to be able to have their kids go get a good education and not be indoctrinated.
Yes, sir.
They want their military to be able to blow things up and kill bad guys and not be a woke social engineering experiment.
Yep.
Right? It's just your common sense.
Absolutely. What about Iran? What do you think about Iran? I think they need a little nudge. And I have a feeling the president's going to give them that little nudge because we can't. The Ayatollahs can't continue to run that country. They've caused too much chaos the last 47 years around the world, including killing a whole lot of Americans. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, look, I think the president gave a fairly strong nudge when he dropped a bunker buster on their butt and made clear that they weren't going to be allowed to have nuclear weapons. And there is nothing probably more important, although this shot across the bow with Maduro is really important.
Oh, yes.
And what we did in going in there, and people are all hand-wringing about it. We sent a signal to the world about our capability. We sent a signal to the world that we care about Western Hemisphere, that we want to restore order, that these drug cartels aren't going to be able to run amok. And in Iran, we're seeing leadership, and the fact that these people are on the streets is a direct result of the president's leadership to say, you guys don't get to have nuclear weapons. We're not going to let you continue to, inflict terror on the world. Now, how that all plays out, the president's going to, I think he's got a reserved but strong foreign policy.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio has been doing a great job.
Yeah.
We're not looking to be in endless wars. We're not looking to have, a 20-year, $7 or $8 trillion war in the Middle East like we did, in the first quarter of the century.
Yep.
This president wants us to end wars. He wants us to not be in conflict. He wants peace through strength. Marco Rubio is doing an excellent job, and I think that we're going to continue to do that and push back. And hopefully, and I do want to say, I stand with the people of Iran who are going out on the streets and risking their lives for freedom and a better way of life.
Yeah.
And God bless them. We're praying for them.
Amen, brother.
And we hope that they'll be successful.
Well, we are almost out of time, my friend. I'm sorry to do that. I hope maybe we could get you in for a longer podcast at some point, Representative Chip Roy. One other thing, you're a Jeep owner. Do you have a duck on your dash?
So I have one, and it's awesome. It's this little like duck that looks like a German. So we have a German community here in Texas. We have Wurstfest is our form of Oktoberfest in New Braunfels, Texas. And so I've got a duck from that, and it's awesome. So
there's not a whole bunch of ducks. That's kind of that's kind of a chick thing when you own a Jeep. You got a whole bunch of ducks. That's too much. That's overkill.
Yeah, I kind of shy away from those. But when I got the German duck, and it reminds me of beer and like Lederhosen and music and pretzels, I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Well, I'm very optimistic. I think 2026 is going to be one of the greatest years of our lives, to be quite honest, Representative. And I greatly appreciate your time today. Twitter at Chip Roy. Anywhere else people can follow you, my friend?
Yeah, Chip Roy TX. That's my personal account, Chip Roy TX. As you know, I'm running for Attorney General and running hard for the state of Texas to keep the Texas safe and secure. And appreciate you. Appreciate the time. God bless you. Everybody stay safe out there in the snow and icy roads all across the country.
All right, let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Thank you, sir. Running for AG. We got to talk about that. Running for AG of Texas. That's right. He could take over down there. What'd you think, kids? Was that fun? That was kind of fun, wasn't it? It was the first time having old Chip on. It was the first time we had him on, so that was very nice. Very, very nice. Look at all the people who are watching today, despite being snowed in and all that stuff. Hello, Donna Innes Lambert. How are you? I know it's kind of weird. A lot of southern states getting all sorts of nuts, right? All sorts of crazy with the weather. I've never seen a swath this big of ice for southern states right up to, the Northeast. I think Boston got 2 feet of snow, for God's sake. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Duckman 558. Good to see you over there, William Ratcliffe. Yeah, well, Chip's kind of had to come to Jesus. Trump called Chip Roy an obstructionist to ask for him to be primaried. I understand that, but I'm going to tell you, he's done some things wrong and he's done a lot of things right. So when I talked to him the other day for quite a while at the Capitol, and so he's going to be leaving Congress, going to become the AG of Texas, and I'm going to go ahead and wish him the best. I'm going to go ahead and wish him the best. Sport Tech, what's up? Good to see you. Joe America 61, hello. Oh, is the audio and video still out of sync? I restarted it, by the way. It was having a little trouble here. Yeah. Here, I got something next here. I want to do this. Oh, I got something big here. Hold on. Let's talk here. Oh my God. All right, I got to talk here, guys. I apologize. Jesus, God. All right, here we go. Sorry, I'm a little busy. I got to tape my TV show today, too, and then I got my new desk tomorrow. I got a desk for my studio. It's taken months to get it. It's been a pain in the butt. All right, here we go.
Absolutely unacceptable, terrible, awful. ICE agents are just doing their job, and I fully support that. And for me, and people in my party might want to abolish it or treat them as criminals or anything that's inappropriate and outrageous.
Okay, there gets John Fetterman speaking some common sense. I think this whole attempt to defund ICE and Border Patrol, shut down the government, is going to fall on its face. Sit down. Price of gold almost $5,100. Price of gold today $5,097. Did you hear what I just said? We're $100 higher than Friday. Silver is at $116. Silver is at $116. Birch Gold is the company that I trust. I would suggest you get on this now. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Gold is above $5,000. Text my name, Rob, to 989898. Rob to 989898. If you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch offering a rebate up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. That ends in 4 days. Gold is at $5,097. Silver is at $116. Silver was $30 last year at this time. Gold was $2,700 last year around this time. Birch Gold, text my name, Rob, to 989898. Rob to 989898. I've never seen anything like it, and it is not slowing down anytime soon. I actually called Birch Gold today to take a little bit of something out of one account and move it over to gold myself today. So, we got lots to get to on the other side of the break. More from Minnesota. Your calls welcome, 800-922-6680. Hour number 2 of the Rob Carson Show right ahead. Don't go anywhere.
about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show. Welcome to it. Please come inside. What a epic weekend for snow and ice and all of that stuff. I got to tell you, I have never seen a swath of moisture. I'm not going to make a line about that. I haven't seen a swath of moisture like this sweep across the country in a very long time. Must be global warming. Could have been that global warming that caused all the freezing. That's what it was. Or maybe these things just happen every once in a while. Where I am in the Washington, D.C. area, probably 8 to 10 inches of snow, I suppose. I got out and drove around in it in my Bronco Buck yesterday because, you know, when you're from the Midwest, it's kind of a no big deal. You if it snows 15 inches, you go bowling. That's the way it is if you know how to drive in it. And they actually did a fairly decent job removing it around here. I know that a lot of areas, I was talking to my friend Jim Gossett. Jim Gossett can't do any parodies today because he doesn't have any electricity. Chip Roy, we just talked to Chip Roy. He said they got ice down in Texas, so it really has bleeped things up quite a bit. And so if you were in an affected area, I hope you get out of it soon. I did last night. I decided to leave the house. I couldn't just sit in the house all day. It was the first time I sat in the apartment all dang day. And I've got the attention span of a fruit fly. I don't like to sit very long. When I do the show, you don't know this, but when I turn that mic off, I get up and walk around. I go in the other room because I cannot sit in one place that long. So about, 6 o'clock last night or so, maybe 5 o'clock, I decided I'm going to take Buck for a little drive, see how the roads are. And we headed up to 7-Eleven to get a Diet Coke. And there was a car stuck there. They were high-sitting on the snow. When you get a bunch of snow in front of your car, and literally the front wheels kind of get off of the ground, and you're being held up by snow. That happened to that car. So I ran to 7-Eleven quickly because I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it myself. See some of my friends, my brown brothers from Mexico, hanging out there with a truck with a plow on it. I said, maybe you can help us out. He said, oh yeah, we'll see, blah blah. So I get my Diet Coke and I head back down there. By the time I got down, about 45 seconds later, there were 6 people there to help out. 6 people there to help out. We all got there. We dug with our hands and with an ice chipper, moved that truck, then high-fived each other. It was pretty cool. Because you know what? That's America. That's America. Of course, if you were in Minneapolis and you had a MAGA sticker on your car, they would unstuck your car, burn it, and murder you. So there's that. There is that in Minnesota. But the rest of the country is pretty darn nice, to be quite honest. So there you go. There you go. We're talking about a lot of momentum, and I know this weekend was a roller coaster ride because we had all this bull crap happening in Minnesota. We got this guy who was shot in Minnesota. They're trying to apparently now George Floyd has white privilege. Because they shot this guy over the weekend who carried a loaded handgun with 2 magazines, which is what, Alex Preddy. Yeah, nobody concealed carries takes 2 magazines with them, too, when you're going to go, confront or get yourself involved in a law enforcement operation with ICE when they carry those big guns. Either he's the dumbest person alive or he's brainwashed or whatever. But, and it's sad because now his kids will have to be raised without a dad. Utterly ridiculous. But something happened between Saturday and today because all of a sudden Tim Walz appears to be in the get-along gang. And Tom Homan's going to be headed up there. And Donald Trump's saying, oh, yeah, Tim Walz and I had a great conversation over Something happened. Somebody got a shot over the bow, man. Somebody in Minnesota went, holy crap, there's something going on. And I got to tell you, when you look at Donald Trump, and this morning I'd like to see the Insurrection Act if you're going to keep this nonsense up. Because this weekend there was a National Guard, there was an ICE agent had his finger bit off of one of these animals. And I'm like, how many more ICE agents are going to get injured and attacked before we do the Insurrection Act, send some soldiers in there? And the same goes with what happened in Iran. You're like, how many more Iranian protesters have to die before we bomb the snot out of the Ayatollah? And Donald Trump is being more deliberate than I could have ever imagined on all of these things. And he's getting things done. Something happened in Minnesota. I don't know. But I don't think that the left is gaining any momentum at all. The Democrat Party is unbelievably unpopular. What they're doing in Minnesota is not catching on. I think charging that church was a really stupid, irresponsible, and illegal thing to do. And I think that was a major turning point for Americans because, particularly we as Christians, they killed Charlie Kirk last year. And this was the line too far. And if you're on the side with these idiots, including the guy who got shot this weekend, you're on the side of invading churches, and that's it. We're done. Something happened, guys. I don't know what it is. Now, you may recall on the 20th, they were going to do this big national walkout. Do you remember this? And I had completely forgotten about it. This is what they were doing last week.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
On January 20th, we are walking out to free America.
And walking in to remove the regime.
We're walking out of work, walking out of school.
We're walking out of anywhere and everywhere.
Because it's past time that we stop cooperating with fascism.
Starting at 2 p.m. local time, we'll start a wave of walkouts across the nation.
Guess what? It dissipated like a fart in a Cat 5 hurricane. Yeah, it didn't go anywhere. So just throwing a temper tantrum doesn't mean everybody's going to follow you into oblivion. You morons. That was a big faceplant. That was supposed to take place on the 20th. The whole country was going to stop operating. It's the 26th that didn't happen. Wow. What a faceplant. What a bunch of petulant little children. I think we're done. I think America's just done with this bull crap, to be quite honest. The left has been throwing a temper tantrum. We're done. We're done with it. James in Albuquerque wants to talk about this. He listens to us, I'm assuming, on KBQ down there. James, welcome to the Rob Carson Show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Rob. How's it going?
Good. Hey, man, have you been watching Pluribus on Apple TV? The show is based in Albuquerque. Did you know that?
Really?
Okay. You got to watch that show, man. It's called Pluribus.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
All right, what's up?
Hey, I drive a 1-ton, 2,500 crew cab GMC Sierra.
Yeah.
Okay?
Nice.
That's a man's truck,
That's a big truck there. Is it diesel or what? Is it diesel?
No, gas.
Okay.
Hey, Rob.
What?
The reason why I was calling in is, look, what conservatives are fed up with are the do-nothing Republicans.
Yeah, I know.
Okay? They have the majority. There's something criminal about when they say when one party's in charge of the White House and Congress that they lose it in the midterms.
Yeah.
There's something corrupt about that, okay?
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, Congress, 18 weeks of vacation, Rob, that's what they get a year, okay? I counted them. I counted every time they're gone. Especially the Republicans, they're all talk, no action. Chip Roy, not a big fan of, but they're all talk, no action. When you said, "Oh, Chip, I know you're busy," they're not busy, Rob. Come on, these people do nothing. We're 1 month in in 2026. Yep. What have they passed? Nothing. This is number one priority that the do nothing Congress should pass is voter ID.
Yep.
Paper ballots.
Yep.
That's the number one thing because if we want to stay in charge of this country,
it's a SAVE Act, bro. That's what they're working on. They're working on the SAVE Act. But
exactly.
Listen, bro. Don't get me wrong. I already gotten heat. People are like, did you know Donald Trump said Chip Roy was an obstructionist? I get it. But I got to meet him last week. Had a long conversation, and I think he has the better interests of America at heart. I think that right now that there are a lot of Democrats being obstructionists. There are a lot of people in the Republican side of things who are rhinos, who are C-block and everything. But I think that some things are happening. And listen, bro, I want accountability. They called it retribution. I want some ass kicking to be done. I want people to be held accountable for January the 6th and the election in 2020 and Jack Smith and all of that nonsense. And there are some things going, but unfortunately, when you've got all of this going on, it's hard to get it up. But I know it's frustrating as hell to you. It's frustrating to me.
Yeah, and the thing is, Rob, is look, the only one that's going to push forward to win the midterms is Donald Trump. Yeah. The Republicans, the party, that's their job to win the midterms, but they're putting it on Donald Trump's shoulders. But Trump is doing it because he cares for this country, and he's the only one fighting. And in order to get Vance elected in 28, which I'm very hopeful he will be. We need to win the midterms, and these Republicans are just pissing me off day in and day out.
I understand.
Because if they don't pass laws that Trump is, with a lot of these executive orders, if they're not put into law, we're going to go down the same road that we've always been going down for so many years, and we're going to lose this country because Donald Trump's the only one fighing for us. Nobody else is.
We are not going to lose this country.
Real quick about ICE.
We're not going to lose this country. Go ahead.
Yeah, and one thing about ICE in Minnesota, okay, these people, we know they're the majority of them are paid protesters,
Yes,
okay?
sir.
Well, if you don't want to get shot, if you don't want to get put in jail, stay out of the way and go home and sit your ass on the couch because they stay home. These people are idiots, and I'm sick of the media.
No, they're Marxist and communists is what they are. They're Marxist and communists, and the leadership of Minnesota, they're using them like useful idiots, which Lenin in Russia came up with. You use them, you let them die, and they take the bullets, and we march on toward communism. That's what's going on with Minnesota, and they are just useful cannon fodder. But something happened, man. Something happened between Saturday night and today, and I think we avoided. I don't know. I get the feeling we avoided the Insurrection Act. I don't know, but James, I got to run, brother.
Real quick.
Go.
I want Pam Bondi and Kash Patel to do their job. I don't see any criminal communist Democrats in handcuffs.
I know,
want
brother.
them to do their job.
Yeah, I want to too. And her statement about a strongly worded letter this weekend did not sit well with most of us. I think we're just damn done. I know it's a process, not an event, but at the same time, we waited 4 years and went through 4 years of abuses and usurpations. And by God, this is not an opportunity we are going to let slip between our fingers. We want people to pay for what they did to us. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
When you're a man who calls himself a girl, it can be a bonus. When you compete with women, you have to hide. Ooh, that pair of cojones. I can cycle against the girls, that's my choice. I can steal their medals with this manly voice, 'cause the left makes me feel, the left makes me feel, the left makes me feel like a transgender woman. When I compete with females, I'm the one that's feared, 'cause I'm the only person in the race with a beard. But somehow I feel the left makes me feel, they make me feel like a transgender woman.
The minute I walked in the joint, I could see they were a bunch of losers that I could handle. Hey, EU, may I say, it is high time that you start paying your ways, so let me get right to the point. You're no match for my superiority. Hey there, NATO! Ain't gonna mess with me. Just like I said to Macron, soon we will be owning Greenland. You can't stop me. Mark Carney, what a wimp. That guy is so little that I call him shrimp. So stand back and give me some space. Let me tell you all just how it's gonna be. Hey there, NATO, you ain't gonna mess with me.
WCBM.
Have a rejoin.
Okay.
Relentlessly slowing the spread of the stupid every day. It's the Rob Carson Show.
Have you heard from any of the Democratic leadership in Minnesota about that? Tim Walz, Jacob Frey.
No, they haven't expressed any concern for injuries to our officers, and that's been going on for weeks. These are not just agitators anymore, they're violent protests. In fact, the state and the city of Minneapolis abandoned this area in downtown Minneapolis because they couldn't control the situation by the amount of people that have come in just trying to disrupt and impede law enforcement operations. And, you know, frankly, this didn't turn violent until we uncovered the fraud in Minneapolis. We were there, ICE and CBP have been there and operating for years in Minneapolis. We saw the violence start to happen when the fraud became uncovered of the billions of dollars.
Wow, that's interesting, isn't that? Just crazy, right? Yeah. Crazy. Here is Byron Donalds talking this weekend about the fraud in Minnesota.
First of all, look, let's be clear. Nobody wants to see any American lose their life like this. Nobody wants to see that. But we also have to be honest about what's happening in Minneapolis. You have paid agitators. You have a coordinated protesting operation going on in Minneapolis for the sole purpose of doxing ICE officers, impeding ICE officers, stopping them from following and executing federal law.
Alex Preddy was part of it.
Credit colleagues don't care about federal law.
So was Renee Good.
Because when Joe Biden was president of the United States, they allowed him to bastardize asylum claims, basically allow more than 10 million people into the country illegally and put them in court hearings, which won't occur for 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And if you talk to Border Patrol agents, these people don't even show up.
Yes!
These illegal aliens don't even show up for the first hearing.
Yeah.
About 5% show up for the hearings. So this is a sham on the American people. So when President Trump, who, by the way, won a political mandate to deport criminal illegal aliens, when he goes to execute that mandate on behalf of the American people, what do you see? You see Democrat leadership who are using terrible language about these ICE officers in the beginning, calling them Gestapo.
Yeah, we're tired of that crap too, by the way. Absolutely sick and damn tired of this nonsense. Absolutely sick and tired. Here's Mark Wayne Mullen this weekend because one of these a-holes, I'll just go ahead and say it, one of these punks who are bought and paid for in the state of Minnesota bit a police officer, an ICE officer's finger off.
Today there's a report of an ICE officer getting his finger bit off, and then unfortunately a deranged individual that came in to cause max damage with a loaded pistol with an extra mag that was completely loaded was shot and killed. Now, how much more does this got to go on before the Democrat leaders there take responsibility for their words?
Tom Homan is headed there today. Donald Trump said he had a good conversation with Tim Walz this weekend. Something happened. Something big happened. Tim Walz had a come to Jesus moment. I don't know what it was. But there was something. There was something going on, man. So here is Marcos Charles of ICE talking about the ICE agent getting his finger bit off.
But I also want to draw your attention to the continued uptick in violence we're seeing against federal law enforcement officials, not just here, but across the country. Yesterday, here in Minneapolis, a crowd of violent agitators tackled an ICE special agent. When one of our special response teams went to assist, a protester literally bit off part of that agent's finger. The officer received immediate medical attention.
I think it's about beatdown time.
On the scene and was transported to the emergency room for treatment. We do want to thank the people at the hospital for the assistance.
Unbelievable. These animals. I'm done with it, man. 10 years of this nonsense. Minnesota burning, the summer of 2020, billions of dollars worth of damage, 30 people dead. Done with this nonsense. Eric Schwalm on the Twitter. What's unfolding in Minneapolis right now is a protest. Low-level insurgency infrastructure built by people who've clearly studied the playbook. Signal groups at 1,000-member cap per zone. Dedicated roles as mobile chasers, plate checkers, logging vehicle data into shared databases. 24/7 dispatch nodes, vectoring assets, salute-style reporting. On the suspected federal vehicles, daily chat rotations and time deletions to frustrate forensic recovery, vetting processes for new joiners. This is all happening. Rapid escalation from observation to physical obstruction or worse. This is not spontaneous outrage. This is C2, command and control with redundancy. Domestic, funded, trained, and directed by people who live in the same country they're trying to paralyze new law enforcement with. When your own citizens build and operate this level of parallel intelligence and rapid response network against federal officers, complete with doxing, vehicle pursuits, and harassment, that's already turned lethal. You're no longer dealing with civil disobedience. You're facing a distributed resistance that's learned the lessons of successful insurgencies. Stay below the kinetic threshold most of the time. Force overreaction when possible, maintain popular support through narrative, and never present a single center of gravity. Yeah, this is what they're doing, guys. This is what they're doing. Leaked Signal chat group has exposed deep ties between Democrat officials, including Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and radical anti-ICE activists in Minnesota, directed by the people in power in Minnesota. This Gateway Pundit, Minnesota ICE Watch. It's a group used to coordinate protests, issue marching orders, even dox federal ICE agents during the ongoing protests and riots in Minneapolis. This is journalist Cam Higbee. I've infiltrated organized signal groups all around Minneapolis with the sole intention of tracking down federal agents and impeding and assaulting and obstructing them. Amanda Noel Kohler, a prominent protest organizer and former campaign strategist for Walz, has been a part of this. The former Walz staffer has allegedly been actively involved in mobilizing volunteers to track and harass federal agents during Operation Metro Surge. Mobile patrols spend their entire shift searching for suspicious vehicles. When they find one, they send the group to with plate checkers, can compare with their database and see if it's a federal vehicle or if the patrol can be made to confirmation so that the database can be updated. They did this to James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe said he thought he was going to get murdered this weekend because they tracked him. This is what's going on. This is organized by the Democrat Party. This is a confederacy to some degree. This is just shy of confederacy when you've got the state government, local government working together to go after the ICE agents and federal officials with a massive network. That is an organized confederacy. That's maybe the reason why Tim Walz is singing a different tune today. We will see. Let's take a break and come back. Much more on the other side of the break. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Hello, my name is Brian Delatry, and I started taking Relief Factor just about a year ago. I was having chronic knee pain over time. It just got worse and worse. Just walking downstairs was painful. Well, since I've taken Relief Factor, the results have been just amazing. I actually walk 4 miles a day, 5 to 6 days a week. No pain at all going downstairs. Very active playing golf, and it's been really just unbelievable in the change I've had in the pain in my knee. Hope that someone who's experienced the same type of pain gives Relief Factor a try. And I guarantee if you get the results that I have, you'll be very happy. I'm going to continue using the product because I am now pain-free.
Don't wait. If you're dealing with daily pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Go to relieffactor.com. How will it feel to be out of pain?
Oh, there's no place like jail for Kelly to stay. Alyssa Slotkin should be there too. Their sentencing will be a happy day, 'cause they broke the law and they will get their due. I'm watching Jason Crow on CNN. He is looking scared, trying hard to dodge the FBI. Miss Houlihan looked nervous. She was unprepared. I will be delighted when they're all indicted, 'cause there's no place like jail for those 6 to stay. In cells where all of them should be. A court-martial, it could come any day. Lock Mark Kelly up and throw away the key. The Democrats shut down and them all leaving town will be a gift to me. I see it as a firing opportunity. Let the layoffs begin. America will win. Just you wait and see. The Democrats just gave me an opportunity. Now I have a chance, along with J.D. Vance, to make us more waste-free. A federal budget cutting opportunity. The budget I'll reduce when thousands are cut loose. Less bureaucracy. I will make this another opportunity. This is a big time opportunity.
On Talk Radio 680 WCBM and 99.9 FM in Harford County.
Just got a statement from the office of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz about his conversation with President Trump that we reported on earlier. Mm-hmm. The governor's office called it productive, adding, quote, the president agreed that he would talk to the Department of Homeland Security about ensuring the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is able to conduct an independent investigation, as would ordinarily be the case. The president also agreed to look into reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota and working with the state in a more coordinated fashion on immigration enforcement regarding violent criminals.
I'm thinking old Timmy had a little come to Jesus with the president on the phone because I think Donald Trump is through messing around. Leftists in Minneapolis are outraged after an anti-ICE agitator lost part of her fingers when attempting to grab a flashbang grenade and throw it back at federal officials. Well, that's kind of a stupid thing to do, you stupid idiot. Too bad, so sad that you're such a stupid idiot. There you go. There you go. I am done with these spoiled, entitled brats. I'm really, really tired of these brats burning our country. Really, really sick and damn tired of it. It's been going on for a long time, and I think we, homeboys, hillbillies, and Hebrews have had enough. Am I right? Can I get an amen? I just heard it. I just heard an amen. There you go. New horrifying details on the church invasion that happened a little over a week ago. Listen to this. Agitators blocked stairs so parents were unable to get their children at Sunday school. One told a kid, "Do you know your parents are Nazis? They're going to burn in hell." William Kelly said, "This ain't God's house. This is the house of the devil." 50 members of the congregation were stuck toward the front of the church. Not only did the agitators take over the service, they made it nearly impossible for parishioners to get out and leave. One woman broke her arm. This is all according to a police report, I guess a federal police report that Harmeet Dillon has, by the way. Congregants were terrorized. Our children were weeping. College students and young women were sobbing. It was impactful. It will take time to work through. An agitator continued to scream in the faces of young children while they were crying. Nakima Armstrong, main ringleader, said that you cannot pretend to be in the house of God while harboring someone who is directing ICE agents to wreak havoc upon our community and who killed Renee Good. Let's see. Victim 4 informed agents that members of their parish attempted to retrieve their children. As I mentioned, located downstairs, agitators were blocking the stairs. You got a bunch of different victims. 6 later stated protesters followed and surrounded them in their car, would not let them get out. Victim 6 recalled his child stating to him, "Daddy, I thought we were going to die." Victim 6 ended the interview and acknowledged that his children are traumatized. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You screwed the pooch on this one. You screwed the pooch on this one, guys. Something's happening. I'm not sure what it is exactly. There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. And then he got shot by ICE because he had the gun on him and he pulled it on him and everything, and then he died. That's so cruel. Well, you know what? You bring a gun to a law enforcement operation where agents are armed and under constant threat and being tackled, and one of them had their finger bit off. What do you think's going to happen there, sunshine? What do you think's going to happen? Here is Greg Bovino of ICE talking about Alex Preddy.
The choice to, say, cross the border illegally, that is a choice that someone makes. To cross the border illegally, that's a choice.
Yeah.
When you choose to use your 5-year-old child as a shield to evade law enforcement, that is a choice.
Not a good one.
That someone makes.
Not a good one.
And there are actions and consequences that result from that choice.
Yeah.
Or when you're a politician or a community leader.
Yes.
When as a politician, if you choose collusion and corruption as a choice, then there are consequences and actions that take place because of that. That's one reason the U.S. Border Patrol and ICE are here in Minneapolis by the thousands, is because of those choices.
Yeah. The Minneapolis police chief is honestly, I got to tell you, that law enforcement allows these losers and wimps to be a member of law enforcement. Honestly, I used to think that it was universal, that all law enforcement was good and manly and, we're there to kick the bad guys' butts and everything. Not so much in some of these municipalities. So here's the Minneapolis police chief, and here he is trying to dodge the question, which is, have you been told by the people in power like Tim Woods and Jacob Fry to stand down so that ICE agents get attacked and injured, and he skated around it.
Were you ever ordered to stand down? Have police been told not to protect ICE?
It is deeply disappointing to have anyone question and disparage the hard work of the men and women of the Minneapolis.
Yeah, answer the question. Were you told to stand down?
Police Department. There are 600 police officers that are left here after the destruction of the city in 2020.
Yeah, and you're still listening to the jackweeds who are in charge, who did that stuff.
And they are doing an incredible job. About a dozen of our cops have been injured responding to a lot of the chaos.
The report is about a dozen of your police force have left your police force and joined ICE.
Has resulted on the streets. Our officers respond every time there's a threat to someone's life, to
not to ICE agents,
public safety, or destruction in the city. And it doesn't matter whether it's because ICE is there or someone from the community is there. We are doing everything that we can to manage this chaos, but there's only 600 cops here, and there's thousands of immigration agents.
Yeah. And, the reason why they're there is because you guys, your leaders have done this, have whipped people into a frenzy to fight so they can cover up their abject corruption. That's what it's all about, kids. Here is this police chief saying that no matter what happens, even if the police officer or the ICE officer who shot this Alex Preddy is exonerated, which he will be. He says it won't make a difference because people are mad.
The greater issue is, even if there is an investigation that ultimately proves that at the time of the shooting it was legally justified, I don't think that even matters at this point, because there is so much outrage and concern around what is happening in the city.
Yeah, well, ICE isn't doing it. You giant human something. I can't say it on the radio. I'm this close. Just this close. Something's turning, man. I don't know what it is. Something's happening up there. Something is happening up there. Here's a Carl Higbee from Newsmax. Newsmax kick butt. You should watch Newsmax. It's awesome. I work there. Thank you very much. Newsmax. He's talking to J.D. Vance about the fraud, not only in Minnesota, but also California.
How many more of these do you think we're going to see? We can hear the protesters outside. Yeah. How many more of these do you think you're going to see nationwide?
How many more arrests do we think we're going to see nationwide? I mean, look, I think we have a fraud problem that is much worse in California than it is in Minnesota. I was talking actually to our small business administrator. I think she's found probably $500 million of fraud in Minneapolis and the broader Minnesota area. I think she's found
Did you hear a lot of Somalia businesses are bordering on bankruptcy because they don't get any more money from the federal government? Wah, boo-hoo. Who cares?
$1 billion worth of fraud in California. So this is unfortunately a problem that is much...
Oh, my God, my childless daycare center is going to lose its $1 million every year.
Bigger than Minnesota. But it's also, it highlights how absurd.
Oh, my God, my kid who doesn't have autism will miss the money for, claiming he has autism.
This effort to prevent the immigration enforcement is. If you look at blue states, blue cities, you look at Memphis, Tennessee, not a Republican mayor. You look at red states like Texas, but blue cities like Austin. You do not see this level of chaos.
Did he say Nazi?
The enforcement of our immigration.
Oh, Nazi. Never mind.
Laws. What you have is a small band of very far left people who are doing everything that they can, up to and including assaulting law enforcement officers and raiding churches, to try to make ICE out to be the ultimate enemy and to kind of engage in this weird...
And it's not working. ICE's popularity just ticked up 4 points. It's not working. Now we're going to start defending our officers. We're done. Done. These idiots. And I got, on the other side of this break, I have some of this caterwauling that has become so extreme from Tim Volz this weekend. Tim Volz making a comparison, Anne Frank, to ICE agents coming to collect illegals. Unbelievable. That's on the other side of the break. This is the Rob Carson Show. Come on.
Here's countdown.
Diggy.
3, 2, 1.
It is the Rob Carson Show. My computer just froze up. I was going to do something really cool, actually, and play a new song parody from Jim Gossett, but my computer froze up. Let's go ahead and cue that up again. Brian, I apologize for that. Brian is my producer in Balmer, and unfortunately, it didn't work, but it's going to work now, ladies and gentlemen, because Jim Gossett didn't have any power this morning in Atlanta, and somehow I guess the light came on. He decided to put this together about Minneapolis on the Rob Carson Show. Weather be damned.
With the actions he's taken, Jacob Bright is making Minneapolis a clown town. Ice fries a pose, and while Tim Walz is dozing, city has become a clown town. Ilhan Omar's hiding fraud, Keith Ellison's obstructing a war on law enforcement. Jacob Fry's conducting Temp on Tim is so incompetent. Most Minnesotans want no more of him. It's a clown town, Minneapolis, clown town. It's far from fabulous, clown town. Once great cities become Clown Town.
Clown Town, there you go.
Clown Town.
Oh my God, Jim Gossett. He is a genius. He didn't have electricity, and he probably might be dehydrated, maybe out of water, but he still was able to put together what I would consider one of the most brilliant pieces of satire. No, the most brilliant piece of comedy you're going to hear in conservative talk radio. That's just the way it is. You see, I did this for a guy named Rush Limbaugh for a number of years, and now that comedy is mine. Yeah, because see, I wrote it, you see, for his show, and now I got my own show. So yeah, you get it. That was a good one. Jim Gossett. Holy hell. Silver is at $111. Silver is $111. My Lord. What's gold at now? $5,063. So just completely obliterated. We were knocking at 5,100 this morning. Just phenomenal. I called Birch Gold this morning because I have another little 401k thing over here, and I said, let's just go ahead and pull the trigger on that and convert it into gold. Ding, just like that. Ding, and so Birch Gold is going to be doing that for me. Because I want to get in on this. It's $5,061, for goodness sake. It was $4,600 like 2 weeks ago. $2,600 a year ago December. Silver has never been this high. Silver last year was $30. It's $111 now. Unbelievable. If you need to know how to do it, guys, just text my name, Rob, to 989898, Rob to 989898. Roll that existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. When I was talking to them this morning, I'm like, we'll take care of that, Rob. We'll get you taken care of there, buddy. We'll take care of you. And then also, if I didn't qualify for this because I don't have, I'm not eligible because I ain't got a lot of money, divorce and everything. So, but you could take advantage of a rebate up to $10,000 when you buy by the 30th of the month. It's the 26th of January. It's the 26th of January, for goodness sake. Text my name, Rob, to 989898 for Birch Gold. Will ya? George in California wants to talk. George, welcome to the Rob Carson Show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I've been looking all over, and I can't find any arrest or identification of I'm pretty sure it's a woman who bit the guy's finger off. They're not going to arrest her. They're not going to do anything to her. They're protecting her identity. It's the same thing. So they're going to not bring it out in the media who this person is.
Yeah.
It's the same old stuff.
I know, but Leah, do you think George, something happened? Something happened where Tim Walz was saying that, ICE gathering up illegals was like Anne Frank. And then today, out of nowhere, had a talk with Tim Walz today. Tim's like, hey, we're
Yeah, but they also said that one of the things they don't like about Trump and the conservatives is that they're pro-gun. And this guy brought a gun with two magazines.
I know.
They're not even identifying this person. I'll guarantee it's a woman. I'll put my reputation on the line.
Have you ever had a woman bite your finger off?
Well, hey, she could have bit something else.
Okay, all right.
All
right, brother. Thanks for the call.
Okay, have a good one.
I don't think you'd have to chew as hard. There's, just saying, finger probably a little more hard. But, honestly, for some animal to bite off an ICE agent's finger, I don't care who you are. You need to be smacked upside the head. Just bap right upside the head. This is just ridiculous nonsense. On the other side of the break, some of the insane inflammatory nonsense spewed by Tim Walz this weekend. Van Jones, communist. He's a communist, by the way. He makes all sorts of millions of dollars being a panelist on CNN, and he said some outrageously stupid things over the weekend. He's got called out for that. We'll get to it on the other side of the break. Let's take that break now, shall we? This is the Rob Carson Show.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life?
Stream.
Sorry, guys. Get a little distracted. Prani, hello. I want to see what this rabid person looks like. Me too. I want to see what it is. Send Teme to Somalia would be perfect, wouldn't it? Yeah, he'd lose some weight over there. Prani says, yep, Rob's our man. Well, thank you, ladies. Linda Andrew, Miss Rush. I know you missed Rush, but you know what? I'm the closest thing you're going to get, so you might as well, enjoy it while you got it. I think we are walking in his footsteps quite well, don't you? I think so. Deplorable Dinosaur, hello. Good to see ya. I don't know what you're talking about over there. You're talking about Teletubbies being unisex. Okay, yeah, pretty much. Over there on Dookie Bear, I'm actually getting hot in my 2013 Kia minivan. I don't know what that's going on there. Sounds like it's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. I am already hot. I'm going to take my clothes off. Let's see. Astro Turtle, what's going on? Valentina, how you doing? You guys all snowed in? I was snowed in, but I couldn't do it anymore. I had to get out. I just couldn't be there in the house much longer. But I didn't mind it. I didn't mind hanging out and watching TV. I watched a little TV, watched a little football, but I'm not going to be watching the Super Bowl. I think I'm done. I think I'm done with the Super Bowl. I don't think I'm going to watch this year. I really don't. Hold on, I got to talk. Here we go. I got to talk.
About 3.5.
Dig it.
We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now.
That's Tim Walz Saturday, bastardizing the memory of Anne Frank, who died in the concentration camp. You filthy, rotten little piece of crap. I swear, that is just it. That is it. That you would say such a thing, about ICE officers, that you would compare them to Gestapo gathering Anne Frank. You ass. Unbelievable. I'm done with this nonsense. Maybe that's what Donald Trump told him this morning. We're done. Here's Batya Ungar-Sargon. She's Jewish, by the way. She wasn't too happy with this absurd comparison.
Lost in the analogy is the fact that the Gestapo was arresting German citizens, of course, who the Nazis decided were no longer worthy of rights due to their ethnicity. Not people who committed a crime entering Germany illegally and then more crimes once they were.
You know, the Democrat Party, they've exhausted their supply of outrage and outrageous comparisons to history. Slave patrols for ICE. Now, Anne Frank. Honestly, you guys, it just bloody well done with this stinking, filthy, rotten Democrat Party. How dare you? How dare you say such things? How dare you, after going into a church and terrifying people last week and then defending it as some sort of protest, even though we know a woman had her arm broken. Children were terrified. Oh, my Lord, you have stepped in it so bad. Maybe that's what's finally hitting home for Democrats. Maybe that is. I hope so, because you have sold every ounce of your humanity, comparing the worst atrocities in history to our ICE agents going and get illegal alien criminals in cities like Minneapolis. My God, what is wrong with you people? Here is Jake Tapper not calling out someone for saying that ICE is going to put people in ovens.
I understand that, but they take people to Fort Snelling here, which literally was built as a concentration camp, and Alligator Alcatraz, which I think we can all agree is a concentration camp. Not saying they're Dachau. I'm not saying they're putting people in ovens yet, but these are concentration camps.
Okay.
I don't need to argue with you about that.
Yeah, well, why don't you argue with him, Jake? Why don't you call him out for saying something so extraordinarily insane, Jake? Oh, yeah, I forgot. You went 3 years denying that Joe Biden had dementia, and then ultimately it was uncovered when you hosted the debate with him, and then you wrote a book about, oh, my God, I can't believe those people kept us from knowing that Joe Biden had dementia, and you wrote a book at it. I mean, this is it. This is it. They can't whiz on our decency anymore. They can't take any more from us as far as history. They can't insult us anymore. This weekend I was called a Nazi so many times, and I made fun of them for calling me a Nazi online. I had a video that went crazy, thousands and thousands of views, and I called them out for calling me a Nazi. There's more evidence that I'm an NFL player that I am a Nazi. We'll cover this a little bit more on the other side of the break. Last hour of the show is right ahead. Don't go anywhere.
No blind rhetoric.
No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax. Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think. They let me decide.
Real news for real people.
now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is hour number 3 of the Rob Carson Show. And welcome to it. Here's the number, 800-922-6680. If you would like to call in today, take part of the show. Let's see. Busy. Obviously, a lot of snow on the ground. A lot of you staying home. We are not only on the air on radio stations around the country, we're also streaming on all of Newsmax social media, including YouTube and Facebook and X and, Rumble, Instagram as well. Hillary Fordwich is a keynote speaker and a Newsmax contributor, and she's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. She's outstanding. There's a lot of stuff to get to on the plate. So we will talk to Hillary at the bottom of the hour about a number of things that are happening in the news. The NBA Association is siding with anti-ICE protesters in Minneapolis, saying their players can no longer remain silent. Well, even if they were, nobody's listening because nobody watches NBA basketball anymore. I used to. When I lived in Minnesota, I used to go see the Timberwolves. When I lived in D.C., I used to go see some NBA games every once in a while. But I'm done. I'm done with the NBA. I could care less. I don't know. I might know one NBA player now. I used to follow the NBA. Remember the NBA was kind of a big deal? The NBA used to be a big deal. Everybody wants to buy the shoes. Everybody wants to be like Mike. Not anymore. Apparently, the league postponed a Saturday matchup of the Minnesota Timberwolves Golden State Warriors after a shooting involving federal agents, blah, blah, blah. The Players Association characterization of Minneapolis as a city at the forefront of the fight against injustices. So done. Go ahead. Do it. Side with the anti-ICE agents, NBA. Watch your league continue to die. I did watch some football over the weekend. I don't think I'll be watching the Super Bowl. I don't. Part of it is, and I don't really care about either one of the teams. I mean, I'm glad they got there. You know, it's kind of a cool story coming out of New England. Their quarterback's 23 years old. Seattle, blah, blah, blah. But Green Day doing the show opening, and then, of course, the jackweed in the halftime show was anti-American, going to be wearing a dress. Bad Bunny. I think I'm done. I'm gonna do something better with my time, to be quite honest. I don't know, guys. You know, I'm kind of tired of their bull crap. You know, you still got these stupid virtue signaling messages in the end zone, end racism. Like, shut up. I don't need you to tell me to end racism. Shut up. My generation grew up. It was like we moved on. We're white supremacists. Shut up. My generation, we watched the Jeffersons, we watched Roots, we watched All in the Family. We didn't care. For decades, I've worked with black men, including when I was in college. There's a guy named George Nelson, became one of my best friends, and I never, ever once thought of him as a black man. Never. I never said, hey, you're black and I'm white. No, it was just George, my friend George. I worked with him 4 summers when I was in college. We'd go out on the line, work our butts off in the hot sun. Never once did we say, holy hell, you're black and I'm white. Whatever. When I worked at the car dealership, had my good friend Sam. Sam was my immediate supervisor. Happened to be a black guy. I never looked at Sam as a black guy. He was just Sam. It's so stupid, this bullcrap they've foisted upon us, this generation of idiots who decided to make our country into 1968 all over again. It's utterly ridiculous. Thank God that is coming to a close. This weekend I went to a friend of mine is an artist. I met an artist here as a friend. And she's in this little confab of artists down here that this building, it's called the Torpedo Factory. in Old Town Alexandria, and it's filled with artists who sell their wares in their booths, and a lot of them are very extreme, very left of center a-holes, and they post on their windows, placards that say, Charlie Kirk was a piece of crap. There's just one guy posted a sign facing out says Charlie Kirk was a piece of crap, and then another sign that basically infers they want Donald Trump to be assassinated. And I've got several of these artists that I know. One's Catholic, but a good share of them are Jewish, and they're really scared. They're really scared. Yeah, it's not 1939 Germany. It's freaking a liberal bastion in Northern Virginia across from Washington, D.C. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Anyway, I was at this art show with her. Got talking to this guy. He was wearing a stocking cap from Pittsburgh Steelers. And I got to talking to him a little bit. Turns out he's a preacher. He's a black man. I never even noticed he was a black man. I'm just telling you, he's a black man. We had one of the most amazing conversations, and it wasn't anything. It was started out like we were talking about Pittsburgh and Permane Brothers sandwiches, and then it became something very deep. I mean, like, maybe there's a reason why I ran into you, sir. And we exchanged phone numbers, and I might even speak to his congregation. It's pretty amazing. I don't know. There's something going on, man. There's something changed this weekend. I mean, something's going on in Minneapolis. I was looking at the UK Daily Mail, and they're saying, of course, Tim Walz is claiming victory. He says that Tim Walz said that Donald Trump wants to pull ICE out of Minnesota and allow cops to investigate the shooting. That's Tim Walz, and it's also the UK Daily Mail. I don't know. Something's going on. I do know that the Minneapolis, the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, they're done. They said, we got to bring this down. We've got to be able to do business here. These idiots doing all this nonsense. The Target CEO signed this letter to the Chamber of Commerce because these idiot Karens, these psycho Karens in Minneapolis are now going into Target stores. You know that the left is eating its own when crazy white women won't shop at Target. That's when it gets nuts. When crazy white women go into Target and fill what they've been doing lately is filling their carts with goods and then just leaving them. So the teenage kids who work at the Target have to put all these things away, including the ice cream that's going to melt, just to be D words for Richard. And yes, women can be that, by the way. But an open letter from more than 60 CEOs of Minnesota-based companies basically saying we're done with this nonsense. CEOs of Target, Best Buy, Minnesota-based companies call for de-escalation. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Timmy. Enough is enough, Timmy. Oh, would you like to hear our crazy cat lady of the day? I'm going to do this as a regular feature. This is a crazy cat lady of the day. Now, there's no reason to leave the United States of America. Nobody's being persecuted for their religion unless, you're a Jew and you live in Zohran Mandami's New York or on a college campus. Donald Trump is not going after anybody who doesn't deserve to be gotten after, like illegal criminals in Democrat-run cities. But people like Rosie O'Donnell have left because they're nuts. Here's a woman that has uprooted her entire family, changed her children's lives, just like this Alex Preddy, who's now his kids won't have a dad because he swallowed the mania that the left is spewing about ICE agents and all of this. So he decides to take a loaded gun, and 2 clips to a police action, an ICE action, and get involved. The gun gets seen or whatever, and then he gets dead. No reason for it at all, but this woman, this bat guano crazy woman, decided to move from Kentucky to the Netherlands with her children. This woman is so mentally unhinged, she should have her children taken from her. Renee Good did the same thing. Uprooted her kids, moved to Canada. Why? Because mommy's crazy. Mommy's crazy. Listen to this.
If you are thinking about leaving the United States, especially if you live in a red state, I just want to let you know you're not alone. I'm Lindsay, and me and my husband and my 2 small kids moved from Kentucky to the Netherlands 3 months ago.
We call that self-deportation. We love that.
The number of people from Kentucky who reached out to me to ask how they could leave too has shocked me.
I love it.
Kentucky's a red state, right?
Please. Oh, just everybody leave.
But people don't talk about it. They might not say it out loud.
Yeah.
But Blue Dots, you are not alone.
Yeah.
Other Kentuckians want to leave.
Sure, yeah. Your movement is so stupid, and it's not as big as you think it is. They were going to do this big walkout on January the 20th, the inauguration of, or I should say the anniversary of Trump's inauguration, and it did nothing. It did nothing at all. No businesses were shut. There was no big, gigantic economic impact. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Crazy cat ladies. Jim Gossett.
Well, they have a lot of cats, and they're mostly Democrats like B.B. Harris.
Bye. Go to the Netherlands.
They cry when they lose. From their left-wing views, I wish they'd spare us.
Take your cats with you. We don't like cats.
They're cat ladies. Whoa, 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 they're cat ladies.
Actually, I don't. I'm allergic.
Talking about some miserable ladies who have clearly lost their mind.
People that are pro-life, I hate you.
Got called out by J.D. Vance. When he had the chance, he really nailed them.
Nailed them, yeah, well, sure.
They're too dumb to know Kamala and Joe have really failed them. They're cat ladies.
Rare.
Don't have a child, they're cat ladies. Talking about some miserable ladies who are out of their mind.
Good. Self-deportation. Please leave. On the other side of the break, Mark Carney, the Premier of Canada, says that, they're going to do a new world order with China. Donald Trump over the weekend says, okay, well, we'll put 100% tariff on everything you sell to us. Apparently, he had a little come to Jesus, too. We got that on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere.
p.m.
The Nuge. The Nuge. I love it. I love it. James O'Keefe was writing over the weekend, and apparently in Minnesota, we're discovering that the Minnesota political establishment was involved in doxing of agents, a massive group on Signal Chat, basically running shifts and sending people out to attack and impede ICE officials. Alex Preddy, who was killed over the weekend by an ICE agent. Apparently, high-level organizational efforts within the Minnesota State Legislature reports indicate that Preddy, a 37-year-old ICU nurse shot by federal agents, was an active member of the anti-ICE signal chats used to coordinate rapid responses and track federal agents across Minnesota, across Minneapolis. Man behind the chat, State Representative Alex Falconer, freshman DFL legislator, is publicly admitting to leading the rapid response networks. Yeah, this is kind of a big deal. And then all the fraud up there, of course, and the theft. James O'Keefe writes, I've never experienced anything quite like today in my life. I've interacted with the cartel and have witnessed some crazy things in the desert in 2024. But what strikes me is how organized these agitators in Minneapolis are. They have spotters everywhere in the city and suburbs, on street corners, even 30 minutes away from downtown. See, I told you it was like Animal Farm. They have people at hotels that work, 1984 versus meets Animal Farm. They have people at hotels that work with them and signal to them which is making it difficult us to lose our tail once my cover was blown. Usually I lose a tail, not this time. We watched locations 3 times. Switched locations 3 times. I recorded and posted this while leaving Wyzetta while they were still surveilling. I was inside what appeared to be a fully autonomous zone, no police presence. The police were told to leave. I identified myself as press, and they told me they kill press and will not let me leave. My skin was covered because it was so cold, but because they couldn't verify who I was, they screamed and started throwing ice bottles at us. One hit. A Marine who was with us, they patted him down like they were the authorities attempting to confiscate any weapons. They were set to destroy our vehicle before we even got to it. Yeah, this is the insanity of these idiots. I see these communists do not fear death in the same way most people seem to. The only thing communists fear is exposure itself. That's James O'Keefe over the weekend in Minneapolis, and that's what this is all about. This is communism. This is the creeping communism. That's what they want to do. This is what it's always been about. Mark Carney, by the way, Mark Carney is the premier of Canada, and he decided to go over to China and visit with China, and then said some things about a new world order with China leading it and all of that. And Donald Trump said, I don't think that's a good idea. Really, really stupid thing to do. Here's what Donald Trump wrote over the weekend on Truth. If Governor Carney thinks he's going to make Canada a drop-off port for China to send goods and products into the United States, he's sorely mistaken. China will eat Canada alive, completely devour it, including the destruction of their businesses. If Canada makes a deal with China, it will immediately be hit with a 100% tariff against all Canadian goods and products coming to the United States. Thank you for your attention to the matter. Now here is Mark Carney last week versus today.
I'm pleased today to announce that Canada and China have reached a preliminary but landmark trade agreement.
We have commitments under CUSMA that not to pursue free trade agreements with non-market economies without prior notification. We have no intention of doing that with China or any other non-market economy.
Yeah, there you go. What an idiot. What an idiot. I've been talking to Michael Charbon. He's on vacation, and been bugging him. We were in the Dominican Republic or something like that. They like to go places that are warmer when they're on vacation in Canada. Like South Dakota. Well, I'm saying, are you out of your mind? Your premier is going to bed down with China. He's going to take your country in the direction of China. Really stupid thing to do. Really stupid and irresponsible thing to do. And I hope Polyev ends up being in charge up there. He should. And when that happens, it's going to be glorious. It is going to be glorious. Here's Scott Besson this week. Scott Besson was on Fuego this weekend on Sunday morning television talking about Canada.
Some industry-specific tariffs on Chinese goods, and we have a highly integrated market with Canada, sometimes in autos, which he dropped the EV tariff, I believe, from 100% to 6%. Goods can cross the border during the manufacturing process 6 times, and we can't let Canada become an opening that the Chinese pour their cheap goods into the U.S.
Can't do that.
We have a USMCA agreement, but based on that, which is going to be renegotiated this summer, and I'm not sure what Prime Minister Carney is doing here.
Yeah, well, he got a little what for, didn't he? Yeah. Oh, by the way, here's some more Besson. He decided to keep going after Gavin Newsom. Listen to this over the weekend.
I think Gavin Newsom may be cracking up with some of these things he's saying. I think he may be in over his hairdo. And being on the national stage is very different than being governor of California with no signature achievements.
Yeah, that's true.
But to say strange things like President Trump is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. What the hell does that mean? I could say Gavin Newsom is a brontosaurus with a brain the size of a walnut. And if he brought the knee pads, maybe that was for his meeting with Alex Soros.
Oh, my goodness. I got to tell you, he's becoming one of my favorite cabinet members. He really is. He's just fantastic. Wow. What's gold doing? Well, it's still over $5,000 an ounce. Yeah, it is $5,000 an ounce. Silver is at $109. Silver is at $109 this morning. That's $100 on gold since Friday. And that's like, I don't know, at least $10 more for silver since Friday. I don't think I can stress enough that if you've got an underperforming IRA or 401k, you can convert it into an IRA in gold with Birch Gold, and you're eligible for up to a $10,000 rebate with qualifying purchases if you do it by the end of the month in 4 days. In 4 days. You don't even need to remember a phone number. You don't, because I'm terrible at that too. Just text my name, Rob, to 989898 for Birch Gold. Get the ball rolling. Rob to 989898. Get the ball rolling. Gold is now solidly over $5,000. Silver is solidly over $100. What are you waiting for? Text Rob to 989898 for Birch Gold. Let's see. Hillary Fordwich joins us next to talk about Great Britain and such. Don't go anywhere. It's Carson. New year. Maybe you got a new device for.
Hello, my name is Brian Delatry, and I started taking Relief Factor just about a year ago. I was having chronic knee pain over time. It just got worse and worse. Just walking downstairs was painful. Well, since I've taken Relief Factor, the results have been just amazing. I actually walk 4 miles a day, 5 to 6 days a week. No pain at all going downstairs. Very active playing golf, and it's been really just unbelievable in the change I've had in the pain in my knee. Hope that someone who's experienced the same type of pain gives Relief Factor a try. And I guarantee if you get the results that I have, you'll be very happy. I'm going to continue using the product because I am now pain-free.
Don't wait. If you're dealing with daily pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Go to ReliefFactor.com. How will it feel to be out of pain?
Free in libs' heads I'm living, the fits I am giving to Whoopi, Sunny, and Joy. Rent free, I'm occupying in her head. Break free, they simply can't do it. When you get down to it, they have TDS real bad. Hatred, just watch it as it spreads, because inside their heads I live, breathe. I am sending troops to Memphis, Tennessee, 'cause it looks like Memphis could use some help from me. The mayor has done nothing to put criminals away. Memphis needs our help, and they need it there today. The city's run by Democrats who defunded police. They can't do their jobs or maintain the peace. I'm sending in the guard. Memphis needs it bad. Their mayor, Paul Young, that guy's really sad. Voted the most dangerous place in the USA. Wouldn't want to live there. Wouldn't want to stay. Sending in the guard. That call, it was mine. Democrats in Memphis, listen to them whine.
How can it be that somebody who enters our country illegally, having destroyed their identity documents, is a higher priority for housing than a former serviceman or woman who has fallen on hard times? It's outrageous, it's wrong, and it's time to start putting our own people and our own veterans community first.
Wow.
And we must do that.
That is Nigel Farage.
And we must do that.
He's going to be the next Prime Minister of Great Britain, I believe. But you know somebody who would know that better than me? Hillary Fordwich, keynote speaker, Newsmax and GB news contributor as well, joins us on the Newsmax Hotline. How are you on this glorious and snowy Monday?
Well, good afternoon, Rob. Thank you for having me. And I will say, I think our region, the Washington, D.C. region, has coped incredibly well with this terrible storm.
Yes.
But I know a lot of people in the South without power probably can't hear us right now, but we've done well in this region.
You know, I was actually quite surprised. Yesterday I was out and about in Northern Virginia, and they had done a pretty good job clearing off the roads. I don't have any problem driving in this stuff. You're from England, so how about you? Do you have trouble driving in this stuff?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I've been here in America for many, many years. I've learned how to drive in the snow, thank you. But I will say this. I will say that we are seeing a global, I think, transformation. I think people are having enough. And I think, to your point and your very good question, Nigel Farage is really positioned now tremendously well to lead the British nation, hopefully, back to to greatness, but I know that England, when he says, and it's being said and tossed around a lot in England now, including a lot by GB News, Britain is broken.
Yes.
Many people have come to that admission now, and we, thank goodness, aren't a broken nation. We were heading that direction, and that's been stopped now. But yes, he may well be the next British Prime Minister.
I had the opportunity to meet him where I met you for the first time at an event for GB News, and I saw him speak, and I saw shades of Thatcher, I saw shades of Churchill. He is a politically incorrect gentleman. He is very honest, brutally honest to some degree. He has a terrific sense of humor, by the way. I spoke to him probably a good half an hour, and I just think he's the kind of leader that Great Britain needs right now, and a lot of people were debating, Hillary, about whether it was too late, whether Great Britain was too far gone, and I you know the expression we've shared with one another, don't get wobbly, as Margaret Thatcher said, and he's not. And do you think that he's going to turn this around, and how soon do you suppose that could happen?
Well, there's many parts to that. Let me address the part for those of our members of our audience listening that aren't familiar with that phrase. It was when Ronald Reagan had just become president and Margaret Thatcher was in power, and when the air traffic controllers were threatening to go on strike, and Margaret Thatcher placed a call to our then new president Reagan and said, "Don't go wobbly, Ronnie."
Yes.
Meaning like stand your ground. And I will say to Americans listening, if Reagan had capitulated and gone, in quotes, wobbly, we might have had strikes across this nation as Great Britain had when I left in the late 70s. When I was a girl, the train drivers went on strike. The rubbish collection, in other words, trash men went on strike. The electricity board went on strike. My daddy had to sleep on the floor in London in his office because there weren't any trains. We ate dinner by candlelight, not just to be an elegant, tasteful family, but because there was no electricity. So now bringing that all forward to this current day right now, what's interesting is, what do they say, that those that don't take lessons from it, history will...
Yes, repeat it, yes.
Yes, my daddy was a self-made man. He was in, and anybody can Google this to be factually accurate, 1976. Daddy was in an 82% tax bracket, and they were putting taxes up from 82%. And he said, enough is enough. Now, currently, every 45 minutes, a millionaire leaves the United Kingdom and goes to a different country. That's what the current Labour government has done, totally reminiscent of the 70s. Now, let's bring this together to where your question and where we are today. So now Nigel Farage, yes, he's got a great sense of humor. I've enjoyed him. Speaking with him, he's somewhat, in quotes, politically incorrect. You're right. But what's interesting is he's more like a regular person, Rob. What you just described is he's more like a regular person. He's not pontificating. Now, I'll tell you, the key to success for any politician, it's one that has a true north. Ronald Reagan had a true north. Donald Trump, you can see every interview where he was interviewed since 1984. It's on YouTube, and you can see clips from all those interviews. And he said the same thing since 1984. We're sending our jobs abroad. We're sending our manufacturing abroad. Our nation is broken. We are letting he said you can sell, the Japanese can sell anything here. We're not selling into Japan. President Trump has a true north. That's the difference.
Amen.
Nigel Farage has a true north.
Yes.
He wants to bring prosperity back, peace back. He wants to reinstall the rule of law. That's why I think he will be successful. More than anything else, I see politicians with a true north. They stick to it because they don't care about polls. They don't care about isolated incidents. They don't care about the day-to-day. They are long-term visionaries with a true north, and that's what Nigel Farage brings to the UK.
When is Keir Starmer going to leave office? When would this transition happen? I'm not familiar with the election process in Great Britain.
The parliamentary system, parliamentary system. Now, what is interesting is it is fixed. It's not like here where we have a regular election every 4 years. Now, a residing current prime minister can call an election because it's upon their whim. They could call it if they want sooner than the usual period of time. If the usual stipulation of period of time is left, it won't be until I think it's 2028. It's like 2 years from now, which is amazing to think 28 is 2 years now. We're in 26. But though I do think there is such a groundswell of unrest, and also what you're seeing in a county called East Sussex in England, they just in the middle of the night brought 600 illegal men. Those are men that came on boats, so that would be the same in the US for our audience, like crossing the southern border, with Great Britain being an island. These were small boats with migrants that came, they were taken and they were being put in this little village. Because in the beautiful countryside, they were using an old army barracks. These local villagers, they don't want this. They have girls in their village. They don't want their young daughters raped. The girls want to be able to walk to school. And this sort of local thing that's happening, as well as in the UK, migrants are being given 6 months free housing, free hotels, free food. And I think there's a national groundswell of opposition. But I will quote Winston Churchill, who said, democracy is not a good form of government. It's just better than everything else tried. What happens in a democracy is when you get a majority, of course, you can vote. So in England now, there's a huge illegal population and a huge Muslim population where you have councils in different cities. Most major cities in the UK now have a Muslim mayor.
Yes.
So being overrun, and the same thing, and this is what the parallels are for our audience, why it matters to listen to what's happening in the UK.
Yes.
Where you get a majority of a completely different religion. And I've always said this, we've had this conversation before, Catholics don't like Protestants, Protestants don't like Catholics, but Muslims are a religion that say, kill the infidel.
Yes, of course.
And so it's very dangerous.
Islam is a political movement. Islam is not a religion. It's not. It is a political movement. That's what Islam is. They are here for world domination and submission and governance. They are not a religion. Hillary Fordwich, can you hold on? Because I would like to get to your thoughts on what's going on in Canada. The Prime Minister, Mark Carney, backing off a trade deal with China. Can you hold on through the break?
Yes, absolutely.
Lovely. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show. Hey, guys. the Rob Carson Show. There is so much going on in the news today. On top of a massive snowstorm, it was one of the larger ones I've seen in my lifetime, and I've never seen such a swath of everything from freezing rain in the south to 2 feet of snow in Boston. I think here in the D.C. area, about 8 to 10 inches of snow and all of that. But it was kind of fun when you live locally here. I was watching the local newscasts, and they have, I don't know if you knew, Capitol Hill actually is a hill, and people went there to go sledding. I thought that was very charming. I saw that dads bringing their kids over to Capitol Hill and sledding down there. Joining us on the Newsmax Hotline, Hillary Fordwich, keynote speaker, Newsmax contributor, also GB News regular as well, to talk about a bunch of things. The EU huffed and puffed about Greenland, and then ultimately backed down with regard to us, being involved in Greenland. Donald Trump, of course, threatened massive tariffs. Seems to have worked, doesn't it, Hillary?
Well, absolutely. And one of the things I've been saying, Rob, is, could you imagine, I'm an American taxpayer, could you imagine saying to a British taxpayer, a Swedish taxpayer, a Dutch taxpayer, a German taxpayer, we would like you to spend 2% of your national GDP, so as a taxpayer, you're going to pay for this, to protect the U.S. southern border. Everyone in Europe would say, what? What? Meanwhile, you, Rob, everybody, every member of our audience listening right now that's ever paid a penny in taxes, you and me and Rob, we've all paid to defend Europe. And that they cannot defend themselves. We're doing it. So the U.S. is the major contributor, a major contributor to NATO. And Greenland is not a U.S. It's just a U.S. issue. It is a Western security issue.
Yes.
With the melting of all that ice around Greenland, the trade routes are going to open up, which actually will be very good for trade, but also security routes. And it is a nation. It is a nation that is the Danish are incapable financially of defending that island, and they need U.S. support. And you're right, they have capitulated. It's all ended up being actually rather good for everybody. The U.S., without having to spend billions, we're going to have control. We're going to be able to defend that ourselves and protect ourselves.
It's interesting. There's been a lot of, bloviating, and then Donald Trump lays it on like Mark Carney in Canada. Went to visit China, announced a new world order with China. Donald Trump says, "Okay, you do that new world order. We're gonna tariff everything coming from Canada at 100%." This morning, Mark Carney's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. We had no." We had no plan on doing that. It is. I love this 3D chess that Donald Trump is playing.
Oh, yes. Well, actually, Carney had to sort of retract.
Yes.
And he had to say that the recent agreement with China only rolled back tariffs in a few sectors that have been hit in recent years, and it really did not amount to a free trade deal. And he also had to say that he actually had to admit that under the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, Canada hasn't committed to pursue free trade agreements with any of those non-market economies without prior notification. So I think it's really interesting that he had to say we have no intention of doing that with China or any other non-market economy. Meanwhile, earlier in the month, he went and visited Xi Jinping. I think he thought he was going to rear-end Donald Trump, President Trump.
Just not a good idea. I know. What sort of audacity would he have, particularly after what happened with Greenland? What a foolish thing to do.
Yes, and also the other thing is, would he really put up his hand, and how many Canadians would really say, we think the Chinese are more our friends than the U.S.?
Stupid.
Who really thinks that? Who would even say that?
Well, Europe was doing the same. France was doing it. Emile Macron, he said that we need more investment in China. Are you out of your nut?
I know. And this is the issue also, don't forget, also with all these electrical vehicles. The Chinese have all the rare earth minerals to make the batteries for all these electrical vehicles, which is why the big guy, meaning Biden, the big guy with all those kickbacks to his family, why Biden did all those deals with the Chinese, and why all the legislation was passed in the U.S. previously for all the electrical vehicles, and we were supposed to be investing in electrical vehicles. It was because the Chinese were making them and it pressured him.
Of course. That's why when Trump was over at Davos, which I thought was just a masterclass. It was so marvelous. So marvelous. He said, we were buying all these windmills and everything. You go to China, you never see windmills. I thought Davos, I really enjoyed Davos. What did you think of Trump's performance in Davos?
Well, what I would say is the most important thing to actually pay attention to is Davos. The best thing first of all, I thought Scott Besson was wonderful. Trump was wonderful. Absolutely. But the best thing to come out of it, actually, as far as I was concerned, is something that's been little reported in the U.S. You've got to listen to the German Chancellor, because he actually got up on stage and admitted that globalization had failed.
I know. I played that.
I never thought I'd ever hear that.
I thought that was absolutely amazing. I played that last week. That was gigantic, underreported. And then you had even businessmen say that they were holding their breath through Joe Biden's entire presidency, never knowing what sort of idiocy would come out of it. And then, of course, Al Gore shrieking about global warming, climate change, murder hornets, ozone hole nonsense. Nobody's paying attention. I think we're on the cusp of what could be one of the most amazing historical years we've seen in world history, with Maduro gone, with Iran falling, with Cuba falling, freedom spreading. Wouldn't it be amazing? Poilievre in Canada, Nigel Farage in Great Britain. Oh my goodness, can you even imagine Hillary Fordwich, sorry.
And no, that's okay. And going back to Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor,
yes.
What was so interesting was that what happens is, I always call it the domino effect.
Yes.
You know, nobody seems to have the courage, because they're not real leaders, to stand up and say something. Needless to say, two-tier Keir Starmer would never have done that. But the fact that Friedrich Merz did have the courage to stand up and actually admit that Europe cannot play a global role, that we said they need the U.S., that globalization has failed, and his admissions, I thought, that when he said something about the Europe's possibilities for an independent action are highly limited. I think that's what he said.
Yes.
I think he also admitted about the situation in Ukraine. There's a crisis, an example where Europe totally lacks any leverage to insist on any kind of settlement terms, and also they've been nutty enough to continue to buy Russian oil.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely ludicrous, funding the war they're supposed to be fighting.
Well, I think
I think was a turning point.
I think we are really. I do believe this is going to be one of the greatest years in world history for freedom and opportunity. Hillary Fordwich, always good to talk to you. Thank you for joining me today on the Rob Carson Show.
Pleasure, always, Rob.
All right.
And just can I make one quick last point? Everybody
Please.
should listen to Mark Rutte. The reason he was the head of NATO, the reason he was so good with President Trump was because I used to head global business development at the KPMG in Amsterdam. I know about the Dutch. I lived there. I'm married to a Dutchman. He managed a coalition of diverse parties. That's why he's a brilliant negotiator. So as an American, we should all be grateful to Mark Rutte for his deal with President Trump. We're into a good place.
All right, very good. Thanks for joining me today. Be safe. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. She's a very interesting cat. I've gotten to know Hillary Fordwich. I called her Erica Hillary because I used to work with somebody named Erica Hillary at Mix 107.3 in Washington, D.C. But she is something else. She's a Spitfire, as it were. Spitfire. All right, who's watching? Look at me. We got big numbers today. Man. My Rumbly Roos. You guys watching? You guys are going crazy. Got a lot of people watching on the on X. A lot of people this weekend following me on all the social media. My social media blew up. It was amazing. Huge numbers on Twitter. Huge number on Facebook. Jacqueline Borg. Hello, Jacqueline. Hello. Good to see you. Donna Innes Lambert, good to see you there as well. Jacqueline Borg, you're new. You're part of the Borg. Prani Yupachat, as always, good to see you. Hope you had a nice weekend. I had a great weekend. Had a marvelous weekend. The Deplorable Dinosaur in America, Marcy. Corey Mullock, 2093. You are new on YouTube. Thanks for joining me. We got to get those YouTube numbers up. It's growing. Besant is like Kennedy without the Louisiana accent. Yeah, that's a good point. Besant just kicked ass this weekend, didn't he? Besant was a blast. I got another piece from Besant I want to play here on Canada.
It seems like the same agreement that's been in place since the 50s.
Oh. All right. Let's see who else. Corey, you're new. I'm glad to. Maintaining a bad trip. How are you today? Here we go.
You have about 30 minutes.
All right, so about ready to run out of time here. Senate GOP telling Democrats to shove it. They're moving forward with DHS and ICE funding. Already passed in the House. We'll move forward as planned and hope Democrats can find a path forward to join us. Yeah, it's such bullcrap. These Democrats, honestly. Death spiral into hell, people. What I tell you, death spiral into hell. Dying like movie vampires. Scott Bassett has become my favorite cabinet member. He's just kicking butt. He's just amazing. Here he is schooling John Carl with a K on Sunday on ABC, talking about Greenland. Just listen. This is magnificent.
It seems like the same agreement that's been in place since the 50s.
Well, I think you haven't seen the full agreement. Secretary General Mark Rutte was a very good interlocutor between the Europeans and between President Trump. But look, a lot of things have changed up in Greenland. Jonathan, do you know what the Istanbul Bridge is?
Tell me.
Chinese
you should know this.
freight ship.
You should know this, you idiot. You're supposed to be an investigative reporter, and you're talking to the Secretary of the Treasury. Why do you know that?
That for the first time in October came across the Arctic into the...
Let's listen to that again, because this is important here. I'm going to back this up just a second here. How do I do this? Here we go. Hold on one second. Yeah, here we go. Listen to this.
Freight ship that for the first time in October came across the Arctic into the UK.
That's the Chinese freight ship.
They're shortening their travel time. Yes. So the Arctic is changing, very important strategically for the U.S. to help control that.
Yes.
Okay, but again, it seems like we're going to basically have this. I mean, Greenland's not going to become part of the United States. We're going to have...
No, you idiot. Oh, my God, you go back to that. It's not about making, Greenland part of the United States. It's about securing Greenland because right now the Chinese and the Russians are all over it and they want to take it. Duh. Duh. Bassett is just a wonderful surprise. Marco Rubio, too. I'm just like, what, really? Wow. Totally kicking butt. Wow. Today did you have fun today? I had a hell of a good time today on the show. Man, we covered everything today. I was bumming out because all this violence and stuff in Minneapolis over the weekend and all of this absurdity. And I just know that the left is in their death throes. I know that the left is in their death throes. They're in an indefensible position, and America is just done with them, biting the finger off of an ICE agent. We've had enough of it. We've had enough of the nonsense. We want to experience glory and freedom and joy in our 250th year, and we're going to do that, aren't we? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. All right, have a glorious day. God bless you. America is founded. Donald Trump, as he is changing the world in what could be the greatest year of our lives. And until tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and maybe you'll be back at work, don't catch the stupid. I love you guys. I'll see you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.